Hello, welcome to the RevOps show, and happy Thanksgiving, guys! While you're prepping to feast on some of the best food of the year, watch some football, hang out with family and friends, and just relax for a few days, we have an episode that you can listen to in preparation. An episode all about gratitude and appreciation. I know you may be thinking, this is going to be another sappy, kumbaya type of episode about gratitude and appreciation, but it honestly takes a turn to be a lot more realistic than you would think. So, with that in mind, let's jump on into the episode and let Doug and Jess take it away.
Jess, what's going
Doug,
on?
It's Friday. It's Friday. That's what's going on.
Happy Thanksgiving, Jess.
Happy Thanksgiving. I mean, not quite,
What-
but happy Thanksgiving.
What do you mean? I thought today was Thanksgiving.
Today is not Thanksgiving. I mean, I'm thankful that it's Friday, so I don't know if that counts.
Wow.
I'm giving thanks that it's Friday.
You know, Jess, every day I get to work with you is Thanksgiving.
Okay, we know that's not true, but I appreciate the sentiment
No, it is. It is very much true. As a matter of fact, Friday's a sad day for me.
because you don't get to talk to me for 2 days.
Yep, I'm not allowed to talk to you for 2 days.
You're not allowed.
No, you put that in. If I remember correctly, you put that in your employment agreement.
I did. We don't always follow that rule. It's okay.
You know, the way you just said that, now there are some people who believe that you actually have it in your employment agreement that I'm not allowed to talk to you on Saturday or something.
So there's some people listening who are like, that's a great idea. I should put that in my employment agreement.
That I shouldn't be allowed to talk to them on Saturday or Sunday?
That their boss shouldn't be allowed to talk to them on Saturday or Sunday.
Hold on a second. That infers that I'm your boss. But
We all know who's in charge here, though.
but you've made it very clear, very consistently, that I have no authority.
I have.
So in fact, you're my boss.
Kinda, yeah. Yeah, it's accurate.
You know, when I was young, Jess, when I was but a wee lad, and I thought about owning my business one day,
Mm-hmm.
owning a business one day. And yes, I actually did think about owning a business when I was young. I thought, I'll be in charge. I'll be the boss. I'm a believer in benevolent dictatorships. I'll be kind, but I'll get to choose what to do. I used to think people will work for me.
Mm-hmm. Someone lied to you,
Oh my God.
and you lied to yourself.
Oh my God. It is like, I think that's the hardest lesson to learn as you move up in your career is, and like, this is the hardest lesson for me is it doesn't matter if you're right.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter if you're right. It's
Yep.
it's a question of, you know, it might be true, it might be right. What good is it doing you? What do you have? And it, you know, when I've had coaches and things like that on these things, it's like, well, Doug, you need to adjust your style so that they can. And I'm like, you know, that's fair, but when is the answer that they need to adjust their style?
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. You need to adjust your style.
Well, you
I
do.
think You do. You do.
You have to adjust your style. You do, absolutely.
You don't have to change who you are, though. I think that's.
I didn't say that, right? But I mean, here's the thing. But then I began to get this. I'm about to get myself in a whole heap of trouble.
Oh boy.
I got this from the standpoint of, okay, you're the boss. You have the authority. Like you're. So it's like there's a difference in the power dimension if you are.
Mm-hmm.
But then I get the same advice when it comes to marriage. You've got to adjust your style. I'm like, yeah, but when did they have to adjust their style?
Yeah. I'm gonna save you from yourself. We should just end this conversation right here. I think we're done.
But
Happy Thanksgiving.
that's the show.
That's the show. I'm calling it.
You know what I'm saying?
No comment.
No comment. Okay.
No comment. Juan is home today.
Ah, I hear you. So, good news for you this week.
What's the good news?
Disney's
Reunionizing?
earnings.
Oh, yeah,
Disney reported good earnings.
they did. They did.
Bob Iger got a little bit of leash back. It looks like.
Yep. We'll see how long he keeps it.
Oh, he's not. I guess he's not going anywhere until 2026.
He's yeah.
Do you not like
It's
Bob
ridiculous.
Iger?
I do like Bob Iger.
Have you ever met him?
Never met him. Never had the opportunity. I like him less since reading Disney War, but I mean, you don't get to where he's at without.
Which one was Disney War?
This is the one about it's about Eisner. It's about the Eisner years, but Iger plays a pivotal role in the third act.
Hold on a second. So you don't like? So I forget. So like I remember. So that is the book about Eisner. So what did?
Yeah.
I mean, he helped get Eisner out. I mean, he basically helped.
So So he basically helped get Eisner out. He comes off as kind of a dick in the book. I mean, no one comes out of that book unscathed. Who was
So when did you read Disney Wars?
About a year ago.
Oh, why did you read Disney Wars a year ago?
Because I saw it and wasn't aware of it before then. And I love Disney, and so I went to the parks during the Eisner years. So I'm actually fascinated by Michael Eisner as a human. Like he's a fascinating human to me. And Katzenberg too, by the way.
So what makes Eisner fascinating for you?
Like he doesn't seem like a standard executive to me. Just in his demeanor, he's kind of kooky. Like he's eclectic.
And so how did you
his
feel about
approach
Eisner
was very
after you
different.
read Disney Wars?
So I'm more empathetic to Eisner having read the book, although he comes off like a dick. As a dick in the book.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong.
So
but
Eisner
I
is
already
a dick.
well, right, and I already had that perception of him going into the book. So like the book didn't change anything.
No, Eisner's a dick.
Right. Yeah.
If it weren't for Jack Welch, Eisner would be Jack Welch.
Okay. Fair. Yeah.
Iger was basically Eisner's
Protege.
hatchet man.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, and Hatchman.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm binge watching Billions.
Oh, okay.
And there's a scene in Billions where Wags, who is Axelrod's number 2, Wags is out or something. I can't remember who he was supposed to be out, but someone says, yeah, they actually they really seem to miss him. It's like, what do you mean they really seem to miss him? He's like, well, all the reviews and everything. Everyone, all they do is bitch about him. And he's like, and they hate him and say bad things. It's like, right, they hate him, so they don't have to hate me.
Right.
That's your number two's job so often. So
sure.
So here's the thing: as somebody who is so Katzenberg genius, creative genius, right? But as he has demonstrated, operator begins to be right. Eisner, no question, turned Disney around, helped to save Disney. Though in reality, I think the person who doesn't get enough credit is Roy Disney, who said, you know what, not me. I'm not built for this.
Yeah. By the way, if there's a hero of the book, it's Roy.
Right.
I mean, Roy is the hero of the book. Yeah.
But Eisner's genius. I mean, he's an absolute genius. Now I'm going to say he's narcissistic, but who could be CEO of a company like that without being narcissistic?
Right. Sure.
So I was involved heavily with Disney when Disney was coming out, when they were launching their cruise line.
Yeah, I remember.
And the cruise line was delayed for several reasons. One of the reasons was that approval for the bedspreads,
Eisner,
right? And it was waiting on Eisner's approval of the bedspreads.
Yep.
Okay, that's just.
Yeah, no, he's fucking nuts. I mean, he's crazy.
Well, no, that's not nuts. That's not nuts. I mean, yes, it is nuts over here, but now think about this, right? What does that say to every executive in every line of everything?
That he cares about everything.
No.
Oh, that he doesn't trust them.
That that you are there to serve at Eisner's pleasure.
Yeah,
you
that's true.
are right.
Yeah.
So, because I'll tell you this, if Eisner hadn't left, I mean, and by the way, if you want to see how bad Eisner is on his own, what was the biggest hire he had the most influence on?
I don't remember. I don't know what you're talking about.
Maybe one of the worst hires in the history of corporate America.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Michael Ovitz.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about Ovitz. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's right up there with Time Warner deciding to merge with AOL on the higher side. So if Iger hadn't gotten Eisner out, Disney would have been in trouble.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Now, so where I thought you were going to go is Eisner's statement right after the writers' strike started, where I forget exactly what he said, but it made something about they have to understand. I forget what it was. I mean, it was a very tone deaf.
Yeah.
But Iger has so that's interesting that you're a Disney fan.
Mm-hmm.
You're not a fan of Iger.
Not a huge fan of Iger, no. Mm-mm.
Wow, you really should be though.
I mean, I respect the deals he's been able to make. I don't
done with the parks.
Yeah, so here's the thing I'm gonna say. This is like so unpopular. We're getting way off the rails. That's not Iger. That's the folks running the parks. I mean, he's Iger's not that involved in the parks.
So
and
why
actually,
do you say that? Why do you say that? I forget what was Iger's role. What was
he was
Iger's
in charge?
official?
He was over ABC.
Okay, so he was ABC.
He was over ABC. Yeah.
So
now Chapek was actually
Chapek ran
in
the
charge.
parks.
He ran the parks. Yeah. So Chapek
and Iger said it. Iger selected him to be the successor, and Chapek screwed the pooch.
He did. So I don't know. I'm conflicted about it.
see. So the thing is, you're. Oh my God, I'm going blank on the on the bias, but you've got a coincidence bias. So you give the credit to the. So Chapek was in charge of the park, so you're giving credit to the parks to Chapek. But you're not giving credit to the person who allowed Chapek to have the freedom and flexibility to do the things that he did.
Fair. Okay, so maybe I need to be a bigger fan of Iger. I don't know.
Or
I don't dislike him. I'm just not like rah.
So what's probably one of the great? Well, yeah, I mean, you shouldn't be that with any CEO personally, except for one. There's one CEO that.
Clearly, obviously.
So what was the greatest decision that Disney ever made in the
buying
Disney?
Oh, I was gonna say buying all the land in Orlando, but you're talking about modern, so I don't know.
Pixar.
Oh yeah, and that is Iger gets credit for that. Fair.
Interesting.
All right, but we're not here to talk about Disney. I was gonna say
play a sustained portion of IP, but
we did.
But this is what I think of when I think of our topic today.
Sesame Street?
The theme to Sesame Street.
Okay. We're talking about gratitude.
We are talking about gratitude.
This is our Thanksgiving episode.
That's what we've been told.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not Thanksgiving as we record this, but
almost, but not quite.
I don't know if we were allowed to tell people that.
Oh. Oops.
Did we just destroy the veil of...
We might have. So why does gratitude make you think of the Sesame Street theme?
So can you hear that song and not smile? When you hear that, can you not?
No.
When you hear that, can you not begin to feel at least a little bit, no matter what's going on, a little bit more playful?
No, fair. Yeah. 100%.
Can you, even more than this?
It's time to get things started on the most sensational.
Which is great. But like if you hear this, and I, for purposes of time, I cut out the very, very early entry. But when you hear this part, sunny day. Like no matter what's going on, there's an aspect of you that goes, like there's a perspective that comes
Yeah.
from it. You just lost a client, or you just lost a big deal, or
Yep.
you just sent an email out to 3.2 million people with your competitor's phone number.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But then you hear that and you're like, and to me, that's what gratitude does. That's what gratitude is.
Okay. So gratitude is the Sesame Street theme song. Is what you're
Gratitude is the Sesame Street theme song. Yes. Yes. Or at least the beginning of it.
So let's start there. What is gratitude though?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Grateful.
Being grateful. Being grateful. Gratitude is Thanksgiving.
So I forgot I was the one that was assigned to do the research for today's episode. Usually you're the one that does that.
I am.
Jess was a bit of a gratitude Scrooge.
I was, but you turned me around.
So the most definition of gratitude that I could find in the roughly 17 minutes, 47 seconds that I spent researching. Gratitude is a positive emotion that can arise. I think it's that arises when you acknowledge that you have goodness in your life and that other people or higher powers, if you believe in them, have helped you achieve that goodness.
Wow.
For me, gratitude and appreciation are highly synonymous. I don't know that I'm going to say that they're synonyms, but they're pretty close to it.
I'd agree with that. I think for me the same. Yeah. Gratitude and appreciation are very similar.
And so if we equate gratitude with appreciation, you know what would be interesting to do right now, Jess?
What?
Let's look up the definition of appreciation. And I think we're going to find two definitions.
Oh, really?
Actually, there should be more than two definitions. So one is recognition and enjoyment of the good qualities of someone or something. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yep.
Oh, this is interesting. So here are the three definitions from dictionary.com. Mm-hmm. Recognition and enjoyment of the good qualities of someone or something. Mm-hmm. A full understanding of a situation. Mm-hmm. And increase in monetary value.
Oh, the increase in value is interesting.
Well,
I mean, the
stock appreciates. Your house appreciates.
I get it. Yeah.
So appreciate is to increase in value.
Right.
It is also to recognize the enjoyment of good qualities. Right. Those are the two that I was thinking of. I hadn't really thought of a full understanding. Mm-hmm. A lack of appreciation of the situation. Yep. Right. And so that full understanding of the situation, I think really drives it in. So I think that, I think that they are. I'm gonna go with their synonyms.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, I think there are also. I think the way that people talk about gratitude, I think that's where a lot of times we have. There it is. I looked up gratitude, similar and opposite words. Appreciation.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
So it's either a synonym or an antonym. On the screen that I'm looking at, it doesn't say specifically, so I'm going to go with it. It's a synonym.
You're going to go with synonym.
Yeah.
Great. I think that's putting two and two together. There we go. And then I know one thing that we talked about is, we all know I pray to the Church of Brene Brown. And she does a lot of gratitude in her work and in her studies. Gratitude's involved. And I know you were talking about kind of how she refers to joy and gratitude. So can you talk about that a little bit?
So she said, and I can tell you what she said, because this was also in my 17 minutes and 47 seconds of research. In 11,000 interviews, she's never found someone who described themselves as being joyful. And this is the interesting part, and I don't know if I agree with this, who didn't practice gratitude. Brene is most famous for being a shame researcher. Mm-hmm. I like to study your stuff so I can figure out how to bring shame. Shame. No, seriously though, and shame is the most damaging.
Yep.
And I had recalled her talking about, joy is kind of the antidote. Is the antidote.
Yep.
Gratitude is the antidote. The thing that was interesting is she said it's not about being grateful. It's a practice of gratitude.
Yeah.
That everyone, that they have a gratitude journal, or my favorite goofy one that she shared was 1, 2, 3, 4. What are you grateful for? 1, 2, 3, 4. What are you grateful for?
Mm-hmm.
At 12:34 every day, they'll just announce what they're grateful for.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, that's great if that works for you.
Mm-hmm.
That would not work for me. And if I was in an environment where that was happening on a regular basis, I forget what the code is, but we might, I might be encouraging wellness visits somewhere.
You don't want to do 1, 2, 3, 4. What are we grateful for every day at 12?
The only 1, 2, 3, 4 I want to do is 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's have a thumb war.
That's your competitive side coming out for sure.
I've done the gratitude journal thing.
Mm-hmm.
I will acknowledge that when I have been in, man, it's been a long time since this happened where I did this, but there have been times where when I've been in particularly down, I don't want to say moments because it's more than moments. 2001, was a really, really,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, actually it was not 2001, it's more 2003, 2004. It's when I left Merrill Lynch, all the things that led up to me leaving Merrill Lynch, every day reading a news story. You think that you want to work for a company that's famous and you're excited to see, your company's name in press. Well, I mean, I got to live the opposite experience where you knew your company was going to be on the front page of the Wall Street Journal and you were just, afraid, okay, what was it going to be this time?
Yeah.
That and other things that were going on, et cetera. I was in just a really, really down mode. And so I did do at the end of the day, what are 3 things that I'm grateful for? And it helped.
Yeah.
I think I was supposed to do it for 21 days. I don't think I've ever actually done it for 21 days.
It feels unnatural and inorganic for me to do that. I've tried doing that before and it just doesn't, it's not my thing. It's not my jam.
So does that mean you're not a grateful person, Jess?
It does not mean I'm not a grateful person.
So what does gratitude mean to you?
I'm trying to figure out a way to describe it without using the words grateful or appreciation.
You could use the word dead, as in the Grateful Dead.
I mean, I like
the Grateful Dead.
I like the attachment of joy to it. I think it is like feeling joyful. I think it's acknowledgement and feeling seen is attached to gratitude. Like I see what you've done. I appreciate what you've done. I like that's kind of how I think about gratitude.
So what do you do to, I know what you do. Actually, I know what you do. I'm going to get myself into a whole lot of trouble today.
Oh boy.
What do you do to prevent yourself from becoming cynical?
Oh, whew. So I like to say a thing that shouldn't be said to get it out of my head. So venting. I do that.
Don't I know it?
I mean, so to avoid being cynical, wow. You said you know what I do, and then you said you're going to get in trouble. So I don't want to ask. But what were you going to say that I do?
What was I going to say that you do, or what is it that you do?
What is it that you think I do? Because I don't know that.
What is it that I think you do, or what is it that you do?
What is it that I do?
Because I didn't say I think I know what you do. I said I know what you do. You have a ritual.
Which is?
You go to church.
Oh, I do go to church. Yeah, I do. Uh-huh.
And there's a whole set of choreography at the church you go to, as I understand it.
There is choreography when you go to the Catholic Church. Yes, sir.
And I think that that's a lot of the ritual that like that's where I've never thought about this before, but I think that's where I think the reason that it's so important for you to go there as regularly and frequently as you go there, without getting into a whole bunch of other things that would definitely get me into trouble that as I've shared with you, sometimes confuse me. That's kind of like that's kind of like your reset button.
Yeah, no, it is. It's pause. It's a quiet place. It's a place I'm comfortable. Gone to church.
But it's more than that, because it's funny. I asked the team yesterday who here meditates, and people are surprised when I tell them that I meditate. I don't.
Yeah, I don't meditate.
But you don't just not meditate. You kind of. It took you a while to not sneer when the word meditate comes up.
So part of that is because I was going to make a smart ass remark that I have too much anxiety to meditate. But it goes into the list of things with gratitude that it just doesn't do it. Like I've tried, it doesn't do anything for me. Like, but church is meditation.
So I used to say the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then I listened to a book, great title for a book, Wherever You Go, There You Are.
Okay.
And then I heard, I forget, it was a podcast. I don't remember where it was, et cetera, but they were talking about the practice of meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, this is when I learned this is the same mindset for why that enabled me to become a real fan of Scotch.
Okay.
So the person who was talking about this said, was saying it's practice of meditation. And they said, part of the problem that people have with meditation is they lose sight of the fact that it's a practice. It is and always and only is a practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which means if anyone ever says, I know how to meditate, they're getting the whole point wrong.
Right.
Someone says, well, I can only meditate for 20 seconds. As if, they're not meditating right.
Mm-hmm.
There is no right or wrong meditation. Meditation is so when you begin knowing you like I know you, the reason that you don't buy into meditation
mm-hmm.
is because we all have visions of the sitting in some, what is it, chakra position going om, and it's like, okay, that's
right.
That. And the truth is everybody actually meditates in some way, shape, or form.
Sure.
But once you realize that, like, what meditation really is, for me at least,
mm-hmm.
is it's a statement of agency.
Yeah.
It is in the midst of all of this going on, I'm going to choose to breathe.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I also found interesting in how I learned about this, where I finally was like, meditation isn't just this really stupid, silly-ish thing, is the power of it is the reset. And the reset is not resetting the moment. The power of it is, so I do a couple different forms of it depending upon what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most common things I'll do is I'll just count.
Yeah.
On each breath, I'll just count.
Mm-hmm.
And it is fascinating how quickly you lose count. I mean, it is amazing how quickly you lose count.
Yeah.
Like there are times I lose count by 3. Right.
Yeah.
And then there's some amount of time where you realize you're no longer keeping count.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a real power to, oh my God, I've totally lost count. I'm 1, 2. Like I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't screw it up. It's like, there's a real power in that. And one of the other things that the person said is, so I can't do it for more than 20 seconds. Okay. That's great.
Yeah.
Over the next period of time, see if you can do it for 21 seconds.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I don't sit and meditate for 20 minutes.
Right.
I've tried it. It was interesting when, but so I think there's the same problem with gratitude.
Which is?
We throw the word gratitude in grateful. You should be grateful.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because you know what? The problem that I had, and I think the reason I never made it 21 days is I was just in a really down, really shitty place.
Yeah.
I was angry at the world. Well, just find the smallest thing. Be grateful that you have problems. Because you know who doesn't have problems? Dead people. Dead people don't have problems.
Right. So be grateful to be alive, basically.
No, okay. You know what my response when I would hear that
What?
would be? Fuck
What?
you. I'm not grateful that I have this problem. There's nothing about this problem that makes me happy.
Yeah.
And you know what would happen when I thought that? I'd feel like shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm supposed to be grateful. I'm blessed.
Well, and the whole statement makes you feel worse, and it's a statement
Yeah.
that's supposedly supposed to make you feel better.
No, here's the thing that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
If you tell me to be grateful for the problems that you have, I will tell you to fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
Side note, I don't think the team that wanted us to bring this topic as the episode expected that I would.
No.
That's why I'm just telling our team, be careful what you ask for.
Exactly.
But if you ask me to appreciate the problem, or can you appreciate the problem?
Yep.
That's totally different.
So I agree. And I think some of that is because to appreciate, you have to understand.
Because what it does is it flips it from this is happening to me
Mm-hmm.
to a perspective of curiosity.
Yeah, sure.
Which is where the third definition I didn't thought that's like that. Like there's a power of, and there's an aspect of, do you understand the problem? Do you fully understand the problem? Do you fully understand the situation?
Yep.
That causes you, it forces you to separate the problem from you.
Mm-hmm.
And I've probably in the last 5 years, certainly in the last 3 years, been far. I mean, I don't think you would ever use the word even keel as a term, but I've been a far more even keel. Wouldn't you say over the last 3 years? I don't get.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I've always talked about it as you are not your results. I mean, I really came to you are not your results.
Yeah.
Resulting did a lot of good for me.
Yep.
In being able to separate that, but it is actually that forcing it to be a third person perspective, and so where I think gratitude is most helpful. So by the way, so I'm going to disagree with. Well, I don't know if I can disagree with Brene Brown on this because I don't. Would I describe myself as a joyful person? What does joy mean for you? What does that mean to you?
When I think of joy, I think of like ultimate happiness. Euphoric might even be too strong of a word, but like leaning towards euphoria.
Okay, so that's interesting. And then also, so as we connect this to gratitude, we're gonna Jess, would you like to sit? Would you like to lie down for the rest
I
of
was
this
gonna say
episode?
I didn't know this was gonna be a therapy session.
Because euphoric is not sustainable by definition.
No.
What is happiness? What is ultimate happiness? So, by the way, serious question. I really don't know what happiness is. I really don't. I think I'm a happy person. I'm a frustrated person.
Frustrated or frustrating?
I'm like a field.
You're
I'm like a
field
meadow of lilies.
That's joy, Doug. Walking through a meadow.
I'm saying being with me is joy. I understand that. That doesn't mean it's hard to create joy all around you.
It is.
I'm a 7-year vacation, Jess. I thought we established that in a previous episode.
We did.
I'm probably a frustrated person. But here's the thing: if I'm not frustrated,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not happy.
Right, and so this is where you and I align because I'm in the same boat.
But happy isn't supposed to be like frustrated is not an adjective that I. So, like, do I practice gratitude?
Mm-hmm.
I think I use it. I think I remind myself of, but I don't have a practice. I don't do anything consistently about it. I don't do, you know what? That's what we're going to do just from now on at 12:34. Everyone, we're going to have a standing 12:34. We're going to clap 3 times. And
Oh my
we're gonna say
God.
what we're... Now, to keep it a quick meeting, we're all going to do it at the same time. So everyone's just going to say what
At the
we're
same-
all at the same
At the
time.
same time. That'll be great. That'll be great.
You know, here's something that's interesting. I think when you work in sales, RevOps, and it's interesting. I don't know if this might be why marketers are weird. I'm kidding. I know I'm the weird one.
You're
This might
definitely
be why
the weird
marketers
one.
are normal. Because I don't know if, you know what? It's actually funny as I'm saying this now out loud. I hate this analogy because there's so much wrong with it, but I used to talk about how the way to think about marketing and sales, the difference is, you know, marketing is the Air Force. It frames the battlefield. It blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
Sales is infantry. They're on the ground there. And, you know, one of the things you've learned in war, despite air supremacy, et cetera, is to take land, you need people.
Yep.
But pilots don't experience war
right
the way infantry does. They don't experience the same level of negativity. They don't live with it. They're not in it.
Yep.
So if you think about it, what is the job of sales? What is sales' number one job? To deal with other people's bad news.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That wasn't what I was going to say, but yeah.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say to engage and talk to people, but which would lead to them dealing with other people's bad news.
But it's not to engage and talk with people. It's to engage and talk with people that have problems.
Yeah. 100%.
It's in a lot of ways, it's to engage and talk to people that are, I'm exaggerating for effect, the least capable in the area where you have expertise.
Right. Yeah.
So your job is to engage with dysfunction. Right. What you see is all there is. Like, so my first official professional real sales job that I was in for more than 3 months, I called on travel agencies.
Yep.
Now I grew up, you know, my parents owned a travel agency.
Yep.
My dad was the president of the American Society of Travel Agents. I had a great appreciation for travel agents. And I remember having dinner with my mom one time. My mom and dad did a lot of education with travel agents, a lot of, you know, and obviously my mom and dad were champions of the travel agency community. And I remember having dinner with them one time, and I said, "Look, let's be honest, Mom. Look, your agency and Bob's and this, like, they're good, right?
Yep.
But you guys are like, I mean, maybe 2 to 3% of travel agencies are like yours.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to be honest. Travel agents are just stupid."
I also used to work at a travel agency. So.
I said, I mean, but
yeah.
And of course you could see my mom's heart just like fell to the, and she's like, well, you know, why do you say that? I'm like, Mom, look, I mean, you got to see the requests I get. You have to see the stupid questions that I get asked, and this and this and this. She's like, okay, Doug, how many travel agencies is this? Right. And she said, okay, how many times do one of my travel agents call you unsolicited?
Yeah.
I'm like, they never did. She's like, right. You only hear from the ones that have this, right?
Yep.
And so, like, when we go on and we're talking about RevOps and CRM implementation, if you have our expertise in CRM implementation, like, here's an interesting question. Let's say that we were to finally follow through on our dream, Jess,
of opening a bait shop.
Yep.
Yay! Let's do it.
Are we going to hire a third party to do our CRM implementation?
Hell no.
Probably not.
Right.
Probably not.
Right.
Right. So, and in RevOps, what do you deal with in RevOps every day, or most days?
Me?
Something that went wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Problems.
Something that went wrong. And so, if you're not careful, they call it gallows humor, by the way. Right. And by the way, that gallows humor is necessary so that you don't become cynical. Right. It's why paramedics say things that aren't appropriate amongst themselves when they're dealing with a tragedy.
Right.
Because you have to, or you just would get destroyed.
Well, they talk about this on movie sets all the time. Some of like the darkest, most serious movies that get worked on, they talk about in between the scenes, they're all cracking jokes and making each other laugh, and they're doing it so they can get through what they're. I mean,
But these jokes that I'm talking about with paramedics, because I know somebody who was I know a paramedic, someone who was a paramedic for the Air Florida crash into the 14th Street Bridge, where, I mean, it's inappropriate. They're making fun of. I mean, it's the venting, right? All those things,
right?
Like that. That is the release.
Yep.
And so, you know, other people's bad news is your good news.
Yeah.
We work with a company that when it comes, like on the sales side, they're not the sharpest knife in the drawer, right? And it amazes us at times. Yep. How do these people even, like, we've even said, how do these people stay in business?
We have said that.
And they do $1.9 billion.
Yep.
Right. And I say that, I'm like, oh my God, how the hell how do they even, and I'm like, okay, well, they're doing $1.9 billion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing $1.9 billion. Right. And so how it would be really easy for me to become cynical.
Yep.
And so how do you prevent that from happening? The way I prevent it from happening is to always remind myself and to think about, what do I appreciate about this person, this situation?
Yep.
Like, I appreciate their ignorance, right?
Yep.
I appreciate their ignorance for two reasons. One is, were it not for their ignorance, our knowledge would have less value.
Yep.
Now, I know that sounds bad, but if you're, especially on the services side, if you're providing services to somebody, guess what? You're solving ignorance.
Yeah.
And I'm also appreciative because I realize their ignorance here is what gives them the freedom to have knowledge and mastery.
And that's actually, I was about to say that the whole reason, like, if they had knowledge in this arena, they wouldn't be as good as they are in whatever their business is.
Right. And so, you know, whenever I speak before a group, one of the questions that I've learned to ask is, what do I appreciate about this group?
Oh, that's interesting. I like that.
When I'm talking to somebody, and look, I talk to some people that really just, I mean, they don't know what they're doing. I mean, that's all I can say. They just don't know what they're doing. And I am somebody, and I understand it. I will come across as condescending even when I don't mean to be condescending. And I will come across as acerbic even when I don't mean to be acerbic.
Yep.
And that is to be completely transparent and honest with everybody. There are times where I do mean to be coming across condescending, and I do mean to be coming across acerbic. But it happens sometimes when I don't mean it to. So if I'm not careful, and especially if I'm tired,
yep,
I will get really easily misinterpreted. And so what is my antidote to that? My antidote to that is, what do I appreciate about this conversation? What do I appreciate about this person?
Yep. Yep.
Right.
I've found myself.
And sometimes I appreciate that this person cares.
Yeah. Yeah. I found myself, especially, I think earlier this year, like starting to get underwater, completely overwhelmed. And I would find myself being like, okay, what do I appreciate about this client? And talking about how much I appreciated our client base. Because we've had the best like group of clients we've had since I've been here over the past year. And I would think about the people I appreciate there, the things I appreciate there. And that definitely does. So maybe I do practice gratitude.
Well,
Doug.
but again, it's not a gratitude. Like, it's a difference between, like, I think there's a difference between being grateful and a gratitude practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. That's where, like, because I was looking to give you some real good stuff. I was going to feed you some stuff from some Brene Brown stuff for this. I'm like, actually, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4. What are you grateful for? I'm not going to do it. And as a matter of fact, if I tried to do it, I'd be less grateful. Here's the other thing that I think gratitude and appreciation does. We're all in a game of growth, and growth is hard. They call them growing pains.
Yeah.
Right. where do you get the energy, right? Like, I feel like people miss what being in the arena means.
Yeah.
Because I feel like people think being in the arena ends with winning.
No, yeah, no, it doesn't. Not always. Sometimes it does.
I think winning or losing is extracurricular to being in the arena. Being in the arena is being in the arena. Being in the arena is doing something uncomfortable, doing something that has risk, risking being, risking people being critical of you.
Yep.
Risking losing. I didn't come up with this, but I remember it was a great question. They always say that, well, a great question is, what would you do if you knew you could not fail? And they actually said, that's a shitty question, because there's a lot I would do if I knew I couldn't fail. The problem is I could fail. So the much more appropriate question is, the much more valuable question is, what would you do if you knew you could fail, or maybe even likely would fail, but it would be worth doing anyways?
Yeah.
Right. Where do you get the energy for that? Where do you get the energy not to find yourself and define yourself by the gaps?
Yeah.
I think that energy is gratitude and is appreciation. Right?
Yeah.
And what I think it does is, again, I think it frees you from that. It's the mental recovery that allows your mental muscles to grow. Because here's the thing that's interesting about struggle. They say, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yep.
But the truth is, if you ain't struggling, you ain't trying.
Yeah. So true.
Right. When I coach college baseball, like, the difference between the best players and the not best players. And by the way, I actually believe this is causal, because I saw players who started as not in the best. Now, in baseball, there's a physical element to it, so it's not just mental. But when they changed their mindset to what I'm about to talk about, they improved both on absolute outcomes and consistency. And the people who are always bad at it are the ones who said, they'd come to me after we'd work on something, we work on hitting, like, hey, coach, I appreciate it yesterday. Great set. I got it. I figured it out. I hit it in the cage tomorrow, and I got it. I'm like, okay, great. Like, the one way I knew for sure that you did not have it, was you said you had it. Now, the people that are at the top of it, they won't talk about it.
Right.
Hey, yeah, I'm working on it. My favorite was Daniel Murphy. Just, Daniel, you've been seeing the ball great lately. What's different? Just going up, trying to see the ball, get my A swing on it. Just trying to, because it was always a practice. It was always a work in progress. It was always a struggle. And there's a humility that comes to that, which I think prevents cynicism. It's hard to be humble and cynical.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
There's an appreciation that comes from it. There's an element, in many ways, gratitude is the opposite of entitlement.
Yep.
Right. I'm not entitled to that. So I hit the screws and they make some great play and I go in and I resent. I'm like, I deserve a fucking hit. Right. Well, guess what? Your game's done. You're done if you're lucky, you're done for the day.
Yep.
Right. And that's where I know somebody who hates this. They're like, they hate the term tip your cap in the literal sense. Because like, I will not tip my cap to somebody who robs me of. I'm like, no, you don't get it. You're not tipping your cap you're tipping your cap to the baseball guys. As you know, they are the most important. And so I think that, as we're in this Thanksgiving season, isn't it weird that isn't like Christmas, but like, isn't Noel, doesn't that mean like joy or something in some?
I think so. Yeah, I think it means joy.
I see all kinds of things about joy and Thanksgiving, and isn't it weird that in this period that we're supposed to be happy and joyful, this is the highest level of
the most stressful time of the year.
Stress, depression. If you think about struggle,
Mm-hmm.
it is uniquely a human experience. It's probably
Yeah.
the most unique element. There is no other creature in the world that struggles. Like my dog, who you just heard barking, after she eats something, doesn't think,
Mm-hmm.
but was there something better?
Right.
Right. And so like that's where we are.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not growing, you're dying.
Right.
And by the way, even if you are growing, you are dying. But if you're not growing, you're dying.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not struggling, you're not growing.
Right.
How do you do that? You do that by, I think, finding the elements, appreciating that.
Yeah.
What can I learn from it? What can I experience it? And you know what else is okay too? When you're in that struggle?
What?
And when you find yourself really angry, or if you're coming into your year end and you're not hitting your number, or I see the layoffs picking back up. Man, I'll tell you what, if I got laid off and someone said, well, what you need to do is a gratitude journal.
You tell him to fuck off.
No, I don't think I would.
What would you tell him?
I think I would actually stab them. I think I would do something that would have my meals taken care of.
Okay.
I don't think I would like the meals, but they would be provided to me. I like, you know what? Screw you.
Yeah.
It's okay not to be grateful in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to be angry. Give yourself that space. You know what I would say? Appreciate that you can be angry.
Yeah.
Right? Allow yourself to be curious.
Yep.
And I think you'll find that life becomes more manageable. You'll have more joy.
You'll be more joyful.
I keep looking for joy. I
Same.
can't find her. She left.
But we got the dad joke in. So I'm not gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4. What are you grateful for? But Doug, 5, 6, 7, 8. What do you appreciate?
Hoo. Well, I appreciate that the RevOps show is like the top RevOps show on Spotify or something.
Yep.
No, I actually we had a really nice LinkedIn post today that asked me if I gotten my burner phone or hoped that I'd gotten my burner phone. I'm appreciative of the people that we get to work with, and I know this is going to make you happy, Jess. I'm grateful that our paths crossed. I'm grateful that we get to go through this struggle together.
Same. I second the last point. For me, I appreciate our team. I also appreciate the folks we get to work with. I appreciate the growth I've been able to have here. Your whole talk around stretching, struggle, gap, growth, like that's been my life for the last 7 years, and I'm excited for it to continue. That is my vacation in my field of lilies.
The scary thing, Jess, I'm going to tell you the truth. I actually was making it up as we were going along. You know what I think the number one takeaway from today is?
What?
If you're having a tough day, if things are really rough or you just don't have it,
Mm-hmm.
Sunny day, sleeping out.
that
That's
solves
it?
everything.
That solves everything. There we go. Just turn that song on. You gonna take us out?
Here I was leaving it open to you to be able to take us out. See, I gave the takeaway, so I thought you were going to pick up and you were going to remind everybody.
Okay. And remember, everyone, just say no to shitty RevOps.
And that's a wrap on this episode of the RevOps Show. I told you it probably took a turn that you didn't think it was going to take, and I honestly really enjoyed Doug and Jess's approach and insights on this topic. We really do appreciate all of you that are listening in each and every week, and thank you for tuning in to our show. If this is your first episode, we hope to see you back next week because episodes always keep us on our toes. Even this one that was requested by us on the marketing team ended up going in a different direction than we thought. We hear you, Doug. Be careful what you wish for. Got it. If you enjoyed this episode and are still listening to me talk, please make sure to go subscribe on Spotify or Apple or wherever you listen to us. We would be over the moon if you left us a review and shared the episode. If you have any questions that you would like to ask Doug or Jess around gratitude or appreciation, email me at hannah@liftenablement.com or hit us up on formerly Twitter, now X, @Demand Creator, or on LinkedIn @Lift Enablement. Until next time, just say no to shitty RevOps.